Starting an Etsy shop 2 years ago was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Not only did I make some good money doing it and learn about business along the way, starting it and reaching small milestones and small successes along the way gave me the confidence to do other things in life, like starting this YouTube channel. But after talking to some of you guys in the comment section and on Instagram, I've learned that one of the biggest things holding you back is that you don't even know where to start. And I can really relate because a lot of you guys might be young, and even if you're not, some of you just might not have had the chance to try a lot of things yet, and that's okay. For someone like me, and I'm sure this is true for some of you guys out there too, I've always had a problem finding exactly what I like to do in life. It never hurts to see what other people are doing just to get ideas and inspiration on things that you might like to try too. So what I did was spend a night browsing Etsy, and I came up with a list of niches and store ideas that I think would be really successful if you started them today. I tried my best to include a wide variety of different niches so they're not all the same, and I'll be going through each one and giving them a rating on startup costs, skills required to start, and passiveness, since you all know how much I love passive income. To be honest, I low-key don't even want to share this list, because as I was browsing Etsy and putting this list together, I was coming across ideas that I thought were really good, and I was thinking maybe I should start these shops up for myself. But for now, I decided not to give up on my sticker shop yet, and I'll be sharing these ideas with you. So let's get started. So the first idea is 3D printed cookie cutters. For this niche, I'm going to be showing you guys an example shop called thecookery.ca. As of today, they have almost 62,000 sales with an estimated average price of around $6, which equals $371,850. And as you can see, they started in 2018, so they earned this revenue over 4 years. So for startup costs, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like 3D printing has become more accessible over the last few years, and the price to get started has really come down. Doing some quick research online, I found that you can get a startup 3D printer for as little as $200 to $400. I found the food safe material that you would need for these cookie cutters range between $20 to $25 for a kilogram, which I'm assuming would last you for a while since cookie cutters themselves don't use that much material. I'm sure that you can get this cost down too if you're buying in bulk from a different supplier. So let's overestimate a little bit and say it would cost $300 to $500 to get started. Personally, for me, $500 isn't that much to spend on a business that has the potential to make you hundreds of thousands, but this cost in comparison to the others on the list is quite high, which is the reason for the 4 out of 5 stars. For skills required, I'm gonna give this a 3.5 out of 5, just because there's so many things you have to learn. First, you need to learn these machines, which can sometimes be complicated, but you also have to learn how to do the 3D modeling and designing in a 3D environment, which I don't really have experience with, but I would assume that it's not the easiest thing to learn. These things might take you weeks or even months to get good at, so it's not something that you can start up right away. For passiveness, I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5 stars, just because once you've learned it and you've designed your designs, the machine is doing the work, right? Like after you design it, you can set up the machine and let it run and print the cookie cutters that you need. So it's not fully passive because you do have to run the machines and pack up the orders and ship them, but it's not as bad as having to work on each order one by one as they come in. The next shop idea is resume templates. So for this one, I have an example shop called Co Resume. They've made 25,000 sales with an average price of around $10.65, which equals around $269,000. They started in 2020, so they've earned this in less than 2 years. So for startup costs, I'm gonna rate this a 1 out of 5 stars because it really doesn't cost anything to get started. I'm going to be assuming that most of you guys have a computer or a laptop you can work with, but even if you don't, you could always go to your public library and borrow one of the computers that they have there. It really doesn't take any extra software to make these templates. People are using Microsoft Word, Pages, and even Google Sheets because that's completely free. For skills required, I'm gonna give this a 1.5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, people are paying for this, so the products that you see getting sold isn't something that just anybody can do themselves. But I really think that learning this basic office software is something that's really easy to do. All you really need to do is to look up some tutorials and maybe read some help articles, and I'm sure you can learn how to make some compelling resume templates in about a day or two. For passiveness, I'm going to be giving this a full 5 out of 5 stars just because it's a digital product. Digital products are the holy grail of passive income because once you make it once and a customer buys it, they can download the product for themselves without any input from yourself. There's nothing to pack and there's nothing to ship. You really only have to do some basic customer service, but all these shops have customer service, so you really can't get around that. Some of you guys might be looking at this niche and going, wow, low startup costs, low skills required, and max passiveness. That's the perfect business. But you have to remember, when startup costs and skills required is low, that means that the barrier to entry for this particular niche is low as well. That usually means competition in a niche like this is very high most of the time. To be successful in a niche like this, you're going to have to find a way to really stand out from the competition, and it might not be the easiest thing to do. The next shop idea is bridesmaid and groomsmen boxes. The example for this niche is a shop called Aaron's Home and Gifts. They've had 77,000 sales with an average price of around $25, which equals $1.9 million. And as you can see, they started in 2020, so they did this in less than 2 years. So startup costs for this niche really depends on what you're trying to do. Some of these shops are selling the boxes themselves, which are empty, and some of these shops are selling gifts inside the box. So it's like a total package thing that you can give to your groomsman or bridesmaid. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna use the sample shop that I provided just to make things a little easier. So it looks like Aaron's Home and Gifts actually sells things inside their box. It looks like they include handmade soaps and candles, as well as some other small things. I did some research and I looked up what it costs to get started in handmade soaps and candles. And according to this article, it says you need around $200 just for starting materials like lye, fats, and oils. And after that, you need to spend around $300 on the equipment to put everything together. So yeah, to be honest, that's a little higher than I was expecting. But not only do you have to spend money for the things inside the box, you have to spend money to make the box really nice too, because the box itself is a gift to somebody. So I'm gonna give the startup cost a 4 out of 5 for this one. For skills required, I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't have any experience making handmade soaps or candles, but from what I've seen, this is not something you can learn in a day. It's probably gonna take weeks or maybe a couple months. For passiveness, I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5 stars, just because you have to make everything that goes inside the box one by one, and you have to package everything really nicely as well. So yeah, this isn't really passive. You could reduce some of your work by working with partners that can make the candles and the soaps for you. But if you do that, that's gonna eat into your profit margins and you're still gonna have to pack them. So yeah, 1 out of 5 stars. Next up, we have pet portraits. The shop I found for this niche is called Draw Your Portrait. They have 56,000 sales at an average price of around $40, which equals $2.2 million. They started in 2016, which is about 6 years. For this niche, I'm gonna give startup costs a 1.5 out of 5 stars. The art provided here is digital, and it really doesn't cost much to make a digital piece of art. There was a time where I was really into drawing on my computer, and all I really needed to do was to pick up a Wacom tablet. These are tablets that come with a pen that you can just draw on, and they'll transfer the image from your hand onto the computer. And nowadays, you can get starter ones for really cheap, somewhere between $50 to $100. With a business like this, once the artwork is complete, you can either send the digital file to your customer, or if they want a physical print, you can work with a print-on-demand service. These services will take your file and print it on whatever you want and send it directly to your customer, so it doesn't add to your startup costs at all. For skills required for this one, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Though there are probably people out there who are naturally gifted and they're able to learn how to draw something like this in a couple days or maybe a couple weeks. For most people, I think it's gonna take months or even years to get to this level of art. So yeah, art skills is not really something you can learn in a couple days or so. For passiveness, if you're selling personalized art where you have to create a new piece for every new customer that you get, I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 stars. But if you're painting something once and you're selling it multiple times, I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5 stars. It really just depends on what kind of shop you have and whether your things are personalized or not. But yeah, if it was me, I would sell the digital print so they can print it home for full passiveness. And if they want a physical one, I would just work with a print-on-demand service. The next niche idea is gender reveal decorations. For this one, we're gonna be looking at a shop called Poof There It Is Reveals. You can see here that they made 260,000 sales at an average price at around $8, which equals over $2 million. They started in 2016, so they got to this point in less than 6 years. Startup cost for this niche, I'm going to be giving it a 1.5 out of 5. Looking on Amazon, I can see that gender reveal powder is around $20 to $25 for 10 bags. And I'm sure that you can get this for cheaper if you're buying this in bulk from an actual supplier. Reading the description, it looks like they're using plastic or acrylic shells that you can get from a craft store like Michael's. And after that, all you really need is some paint and some markers just to color them up. So yeah, to get started in this, you probably need less than $100. Skills required, I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5 because this is something you can learn to do on a YouTube video. If you just YouTube gender reveal baseball, you'll see step-by-step instructions on how to make one. So this is definitely something you can learn to do in just a day. Passiveness, I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5 just because it's not passive at all. For every order that you get, you're going to have to hand make them. And it doesn't seem very easy to be making these balls one by one, so it's not very high on the passiveness. But again, this doesn't mean that it's a bad business at all. This shop made $2 million in 6 years doing small things like this one by one. And to me, that's a really good business. Moving on, we have Instagram highlight covers. And for this one, we have a shop called Tint Studio Digital. They have almost 18,000 sales at an estimated average price of $7, which equals $124,000. They started in 2020, so they made this in less than 2 years. So I was actually shocked when I came across this niche. I didn't really think that people would be spending money on Instagram highlight covers. Like, these are pictures that go into little circles of your Instagram page. But yeah, this is something that people want and they're willing to pay money for someone to do it for them. So this is a valid business. For startup costs, I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5. Since a lot of these graphics are really basic and simple, you can totally make this using free software like Figma or Canva. For skills required, I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 because again, these are very simple graphics that people are buying. You're not painting the Mona Lisa here. You're making a small circle, very simple background with an icon on it. This software for graphic design now is really easy to use and really accessible. And it's really something that you can learn in a few days or maybe a couple weeks. For passiveness, this is a 5 out of 5 because again, it's completely digital. Once the designs are made, customers can download them forever and you just have to do the customer service. Next up, we have map prints. The example shop for this one is called Paper Emporium Co. They've made 40,000 sales with an average price of around $20, which equals $806,000. This shop only started last year, so props to this shop because $806,000, that's a crazy amount to earn in just 1 year. Startup cost for this one is a little bit higher because to make graphics like this, you're gonna need some more advanced professional software. So I'm not sure exactly what software this shop is using, but from my experience, this is something that requires an Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator. So this software isn't free like Canva or Figma. You're gonna need to pay for it, but the cost isn't really that high. Adobe does have monthly subscriptions now, so this is not gonna be a huge upfront cost. It's something you're gonna have to pay as you go. For skills required, I'm gonna give this a surprising 1 out of 5 stars. When I first came across this looked very complicated to make, but I did some Googling and there's actually videos that you can watch that will show you exactly how to do this step by step. So yeah, if you already have the software, this is definitely something you can learn to make in just a day. And I'm just gonna sidetrack here a little bit and mention how important it is to learn the skill of Googling. I'm sure that when some of you saw these map prints, you thought it was really complicated as well, and you would have never imagined it's something that you could actually do too. But yeah, something that's really helped me in my life is having a learning mindset and staying curious. So many times I come across something that seems very complicated and I have the curiosity to Google it, and you realize that things are more simple than you think. And seeing complicated things become simple is really like a mind-blowing moment because it gives you the confidence to try things and leads to the first step to building really amazing things. But yeah, back to the video. For passiveness, this gets a 5 out of 5 because it's fully digital, and if you want to go physical, you can always go print on demand. Next on the list, we have nursery decor. For this one, we have a shop called Bear and Rose Company. They have 71,000 sales with an estimated average price of $40, which comes to $2.8 million. They started in 2018, so they got to this point in about 4 years. Startup cost for a shop like this is going to be 5 out of 5 because you have to use really expensive machines. From browsing their shop, it looks like they're using laser cutting machines to cut sheets of wood into the shapes that they want. These machines are not really made for consumers, they're made for commercial use, and the price for these things can range from thousands of dollars to tens of thousands, so it's definitely not cheap. For skills required, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. From my experience working with commercial machines, they're just not as user-friendly as the ones made for consumers. You're going to need how to learn how to use and maintain the machines, as well as learning how to design the products in like a vector environment, which is going to take some time as well. This is probably something that'll take a month or 2 or more to learn, so that's the reason for the rating. For passiveness, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. Just like with the other shops that use machines to produce the product, this is semi-passive. Once you've created the designs, you can then use the machines to duplicate it for you. So yeah, you have the machines to help you, but you still have to design and pack. Next up, we have embroidery kits. The example shop for this one is called DIY Order. They have 73,000 sales and an average estimated price of $11, which gives them $805,000 of revenue over a 3-year period. Startup cost for this one is going to be a 1.5 out of 5, just because you don't really need anything special to get started. The materials you need here look like they can be picked up for something like $20 to $30. And again, I'm sure you can get this price down if you're buying in bulk from an actual supplier. I'm gonna make a guess and say that it probably only takes around $100 to get started. For skills required, you're going to need to know how to embroider stuff. And I really don't have any experience in doing that, but these are kits that you're selling to your customer, right? For them to do themselves. So I can't imagine that it's that difficult. So yeah, the difficulty probably comes from designing the patterns themselves, which again, I don't have experience in, but I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5. Passiveness for something like this is probably around a 2.5 out of 5 because you still have to pack every order and send them out as you get them. The passiveness from this comes from the designs. For this shop in particular, it looks like the designs are digital and the customer has to download and print them out themselves. Before I go on, let's get the obvious thing out of the way. These shops are the top shops in their respective niches. Success like this is not guaranteed. Nothing in business is guaranteed. You can start a shop and spend thousands of dollars and weeks building it up just to get started, and you might not get anything in return. For me, starting and growing these side businesses have almost become like a hobby for me. I actually have fun designing new products and trying to grow my shop. I get enjoyment out of it, the same way people get it from skiing or golfing, so I'm completely okay with getting nothing from my work. But with that being said, these shops are real and they really did make this amount of money in the time frame that I said. So it's definitely possible. You just have to take the first step and start. So if this video helped you get an idea and you're ready to start right away, you might want to check out this video. It's a video where I break down the step-by-step process to getting your first 100 sales. But that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.